We are the Church of the Larger Fellowship, the Unitarian Universalist congregation with no geographical boundaries. We believe in cultivating curiosity and transformation that is rooted in profound love.
For over 85 years, the ministries of the Church of the Larger Fellowship have circled the globe and crossed the walls of prisons. We are a spiritual lifeline for our over 2,000 members in prison, who are also connected to individual Unitarian Universalists through our letter writing ministry.
In our online community, we offer weekly worship, classes, and groups. Our monthly magazine, Quest, supports the spiritual lives of thousands around the globe. We know better than anyone how deep and meaningful connections can be formed even from a distance.
We are proud to be a leader in this faith movement, and we invite you to get involved in our ministry. We strive to be a place where anyone from anywhere can find spiritual refuge anytime they need it. Welcome to the Church of the Larger Fellowship.
We are so excited to bring you an all-new episode of the Voices of Unitarian Universalism, known affectionately as The View.
The View is a weekly Unitarian Universalist talk show discussing important faith-based topics from an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, and multicultural perspective.
Since 2013, we have gathered every Thursday from September to June to welcome guests from around the world.
Our guests are writers, scholars, activists, and religious thought leaders who are shaping Unitarian Universalism and society for the 21st century and beyond.
We hope that today's show inspires you. We hope it builds your faith and gives you perspective to see the power of Unitarian Universalism at work in your life.
Welcome to The View.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Voices of Unitarian Universalism. I am the Reverend, I almost keep saying Reverend something else, but that's not true yet. I'm the Reverend Dante Hilliard, here in the land of the Council of Three Fires, also known as Chicago, Illinois, USA. We are not quite walking around like popsicles the last couple days, so that's been really, really nice. Like, woo, it's in the 40s. Like, it's a heat wave. It's like August, so we're really excited about this warm weather. And today we're going to be talking about radical self-love as an expression of generosity. And so I have a crazy thought, panel. Where does your journey, what do you point to as the beginning of your journey of radical self-love? And I'll start since I'm putting y'all on the spot. I point to two things. One, it is queer Black men who I met in undergrad who saw me lost and flailing in the world and literally came and got me and was like, hey, come here. And really I learned a lot of lessons about loving myself, standing up for myself, protecting myself. At a little HBCU with less than 1,000 students. That's where that's sort of my first introduction to radical self-love. And then it is literally the intellectual writings of Black women. I think about the first time I read Ntozake Shange's For Colored Girls Who Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough, her choreo poem, and talking about finding God in oneself and loving her fiercely and rejecting people's toxic behavior in the name of loving oneself. So those are really, for me, two places that I know my journey of radical self-love began. Anybody want to jump in, or should I call on somebody?
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm Aisha Hauser, and I am on the land of the Coast Salish people, also known as the home of the Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks. So The weather today is very Seattle. It is gray and overcast, and I honestly don't mind it, probably because I didn't grow up here. And I will answer your question after Michael and DC introduce themselves, and then because I need a minute to keep thinking about it, because I think it's a great question. And I don't have quite as ready an answer just yet. So, Michael.
Greetings, beloveds. Reverend Dr. Michael Tino here on the land of the Kitchewan, Wappinger, and Munsee Lenape peoples just north of New York City, where it is sunny. There's sun out. There is sunlight streaming in my window, and 40 degrees for the first time since October. And I feel like I should be putting on shorts and going outside, which is nuts. But that's I feel like I should be wearing shorts because it's just spring is gonna spring. This might be the fake out. Before it actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
But the 3-foot pile of snow that is covering my crocuses is melting today. It is not going to be all gone, but there will be less of it at the end of today than there was at the beginning of today. And for those of you who have known me for a long time, when my crocuses bloom, that is my personal annual New Year. That is the beginning of my new year. And so I am running on fumes at the end of my old year until the beginning of my new year, anxiously awaiting spring to spring on me. But I actually have hope that it will happen, which I did not have when it was -3. DC, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Michael, just for the comfort of the rest of the free world, neither you nor I should go outside with short pants on until mid-July. Just the blinding paleness of it.
Okay, so I'm Italian. There's only so pale I get, DC.
Well,
Just
yeah,
FYI.
but yeah, that's true. But yeah.
I don't turn pink.
No, I don't ever tan. Dear God, no. All right, I'm Reverend DC Fortune. I'm here in Auburn, Maine, on the banks of the Androscoggin River, so named for the original inhabitants of this area, the Androscoggin people, part of the Abenaki Confederation, and the Penobscot and the Passamaquoddy and the Micmac, all represented here in the great state of Maine. It is 34-ish here, but it's bright sunshiny, which is very, very nice. Yeah, I mean, after the 10 below that we had last week, this was like summertime, totally get copper tone and let's shovel a little spot of snow off the lawn so we can lie out in the sun. No, let's not do that. But let's see, what was it? And I am in the land of the vanquished Super Bowl, not winners.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
No, that's all right. I love the ethos of the Seattle team because they're owned by a woman philanthropist who does cool justice work things, and the Patriots are owned by didn't he get arrested for
a dude in the Epstein
soliciting?
files? A dude in the Epstein files.
Yeah, a dude in the Epstein files. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Jody Allen, if this gets to you, and you wish to celebrate with us by funding our life-saving prison ministry,
giving us 5-10 mil. Come on, Jody. Hashtag Jody Allen.
Right?
So as start talking about radical self-love, I want to say that our viewers are chiming in already with the beginnings of their journeys. Thank you, Leilani, for starting us off. I started my journey learning from gay men with AIDS during the early 90s as I gave them hospice massages in their homes and was invited into their kink families and events full of joy and mourning. Thank you for that beautiful blessing, Leilani, and we invite all of our viewers to share your Your journeys of radical self-love as we begin to answer Dante's question.
I mean, radical. I know that I first came across that term reading The Body's Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor. Just in the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years I read it. And when she said, sure, body acceptance is okay, but that's not enough. She espoused radical self-love. And I think the actual radical self-love journey, even before I learned the term, I remember I was driving in a car with a friend of mine who, one of her jobs was consulting women on how to dress. And I was like, oh my God, I need help. Because I find one thing I like and I get it in 3 colors because I don't know how to dress myself.
Listen, that's a strategy.
That's a strategy. And I'm curvy.
Are you sure you're not a lesbian?
I might be. I don't know. Queer. I have a friend, a lesbian, who said to me, lesbians have open enrollment whenever I'm ready. But I am definitely queer. I'm not straight. I thought I was straight. Anyway, that's a whole other show.
Well, I could have told you that, but that's another story.
Everybody met me. I had a friend say to me, you never really gave off straight vibes. I'm like, oh, I love that. So I was in the car with her, and I was talking about how it's hard for me because I'm curvy. Oh no, Dante, come back. But then she said, follow, so have your social media feed be women who are Black and brown and large and fuller figured and fat and big. I will tell you, when I changed my social media feed and took out skinny women in general, not that I followed that many, that wasn't but I think inadvertently I was like, oh, it definitely helped change my perception of beauty and seeing Jessamine Stanley, who does yoga, and she's a fat Black woman who's just has a beautiful everything. Her mind, body, spirit is beautiful. Watching women in larger bodies love themselves was like, oh, this is a thing that can happen. And it wasn't until I turned 50 and got divorced and did not have someone telling me everything wrong with me every day that I was able to lean into the beginning of radically self-loving myself. And it is not an easy journey at all. So that was the beginning for me, Dante, and thank you for the question.
So I'll share another viewer comment. Nicole says, I was attending the Transforming Heart Collective on Radical Welcome, and we had to answer the question, where have you experienced radical welcome? And I realized my answer was nowhere.
Oh, and the Transforming Hearts Collective, Reverend Michael Slack.
And Capitan, yes.
Well, we hope you experience a little radical welcome, even from afar, here on The View and at the CLF. Nicole, we love you a lot. We really appreciate your contributions every week. So I'm going to say, agree, this has not been easy, and also say that this has been a journey, and it has not been a linear journey for me of radical self-love. I have approached it and retreated from it at various times in my life when I've been given different messages about different parts of who I am. Right? So again, a journey, a hard journey, and not a linear journey. But I'm going to trace the beginnings of that journey. I mean, I was given a really good foundation on that journey by my family. I will say, like, I know lots of people don't get that message from their parents, and everybody should, but lots of people don't, and I did, so I consider myself very fortunate there. So I was given a good foundation, but really, I'm going to name a moment in 7th grade, which is like, let me tell you, like, the beginning of middle school is the worst time of most people's lives, right? 7th grade, if I had to pick one year never to possibly repeat again in my life, it would be seventh grade. So, and so it was this moment that I was being picked on and abused by bullies, by the mean girls who decided that I was an easy target. They don't just pick on girls. And I was walking down the hallway one day, and this teacher popped out of her classroom. This little tiny Spitfire Argentinian woman named Ana Cristina Bozzo, and she looked at me and she's like, "Do you want to change the world?" And I was like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" Like, I might have even said that. I don't think I would have used that word in front of a teacher when I was in seventh grade. But like, clearly you don't know. Like, you've, and she invited me to see myself as powerful for the first time ever. To see myself as able to create goodness in the world. Right? And once I understood, I mean, she was the advisor to a club called Hunter Action Against Hunger. We did work with homeless people in New York City and on world hunger issues. You know, this is the era of like USA for Africa and all that kind of garbage. But like, you know, was the Ethiopian famine was happening, right? 1983, 84. She invited me to see myself as powerful in a way that I had never experienced before. And like, once I understood that I was capable of making the world better through my actions, I could latch on to something to love. Right? And that was really important for me. And yeah, like, okay, then, you know, maybe we took a step back when I like realized who I was attracted to and how that marginalized me. And like, maybe we took another step back later in life when, you know, I had body image issues related to my fatness. Like, again, not a linear journey, but the whole journey has been grounded in a deep understanding that I am capable of adding to the goodness in the world. And if I am capable of adding to the goodness in the world, that I am worth loving. And since everybody is capable of adding to the goodness in the world, everybody is worth loving.
Amen.
Like, this is my theology coming out right here, my universalism coming out. But you know, I am not special in that I am able to contribute to the goodness of the world. Right? Like, that is not a special quality that I have. But I needed to be taught it. To be taught that it existed in order to internalize it. Like, I needed to hear it from someone else. And it was this tiny little Argentinian woman who taught art at my high school. And who has since joined me.
Man. Art teachers and librarians.
Yes.
Well, okay, so my mother was an art teacher. So you understand, like,
of course. That makes so much sense now. All right, thank you.
Come by the like
Hands up.
internal strength of an art teacher naturally, because my mother spent her entire career teaching art to middle schoolers. She taught middle school art for 35 years.
God bless her. God.
And she brought those lessons home.
I remember shortly before I got this call to ministry thing that still I don't quite understand. I was doing a lot of intensive work with 12-step recovery stuff I'd been sober 20 years, but I hadn't done a lot of the work, you know. I sort of hung out and drank the coffee and went to the meetings and did the thing, but I didn't do a lot of the deep internal work. And I got myself this sponsor who challenged everything about me.
Mm.
She was wealthy. She reminded me sort of like Julia Child. She had this sort of interesting voice and accent, and she wasn't quite that woman, you are the weakest link. She wasn't her, but I would go and I would sit in her house, and we would chat for a couple of hours every week or every other week, and I was starting to peel back some of the issues around shame that I had. And I was doing a lot of sort of exploration into what are the sort of forms of sexual expression that were attractive to me and what weren't, and what was working and what didn't, and why, and what this had to do with my body and agency and all kinds of stuff. And she also was a UU, which was fascinating. And like, this all didn't click together until many years later. But one of the things she had me do, and I chafed, oh dear Jesus, did I chafe at this. She had me write down affirmations. Longhand, pen and paper. I am worthy of love. I deserve to be treated with respect. And they were affirmations. They weren't like, I do not have to. No. They were aspirations. They were affirmations. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have joy. I deserve to be free. And the first morning, and we had a deal, like, do this stuff before coffee, right? Because for me, once I get coffee in my brain, the walls go up, right? I get clever, I get smart. It's right, yeah, Michael, yeah, yeah, yes, America runs, right? And oh, you're all frozen. Am I frozen?
You are not frozen.
You are not frozen.
Okay,
Like
now you're
in
not
that
frozen.
moment when
Okay.
you were most open, right? In that moment when you were most open, you had to give yourself these messages.
Oh yeah, exactly. And honestly, the first day I sat down to do that, my hand cramped up before I got. The deal was, write these sentences out. I had like 4 or 5 of them. Write each of them out 10 times, right? Because there's something that happens with your brain when you write stuff down, as opposed to typing it, or as opposed to saying it. And I've done like the work with mirrors, like say stuff into your face. I learned way too early how to lie.
So you can lie to your
So I
face.
could say,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. So I knew that I could say, I deserve to be, purple. I deserve to have $1 zillion. Like whatever. Like whatever came out of my mouth, I could discount it as not real. But writing it out longhand somehow, before I got to the end of that first batch, was sobbing at my kitchen table. My hand couldn't write anymore. It physically hurt. It froze up. My whole body was responding to this message saying that I am worthy. And that was around the time I turned 40. So, and I don't think it's insignificant that it was within a 6-month period of me doing this intense work that I came to understand that I was going to be a minister.
So part of
I did a
radical
lot.
self-love is telling yourself the truth. That's part of radical self-love, is telling yourself the truth.
And
Yeah,
I think people think this notion, it's the new, what do they call it? The new metaphysical, woo-woo feel-good shit. I was like, first of all, loving oneself radically is not feel-good work. When I
shit,
tell
no.
you,
It is
you
gritty and grimy.
I want you
and
to affirm yourself through these statements. Let me tell you about Dwayne Anthony, who we call Bud, who was this gorgeous man. The men and the women wanted him. He played tennis and he was a cheerleader. So he had that body, he gave you face, gorgeous, beautiful man. And Bud was a bit of a mean girl and was a fashionista. And I remember we stayed in the dorms for freshman year. They put me in the wing with the basketball players. Why God? Why? Okay. And so, and I need people to remember, I chose to go to HBCU because I had been raised in these college towns where my mother was in school around a lot of white people. And I realized I was scared of black people. And I was like, I can't go through my life like this. So I gave up my scholarship to Arizona State to go to the HBCU. And so, but they put me in the basketball wing of this dorm. And I walk onto the floor, and my room was the last room at the end of the hall before the emergency exit. And there was this basketball player who stayed one door down from me on the other side. And I would walk onto the wing of the hall open, and he would, as we say, joan me. He would talk about me from the moment I walked onto into the wing until I made it to my room, which was past his room. And I remember I would just key, that's so funny. Then I would go in my room and I would cry. And so this happened on this one, and Bud was my next door neighbor. And this happens one particular day, and he called me. He said, "Bring your ass over here." So I was okay. So I go next door, and he was like, and I'm going to say it the way he said it to honor his. He was like, "Look, bitch," because that's how we talk to each other. I bet not ever see you let somebody treat you like that ever again. These people will keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they realize that you push back. Don't you ever let anyone treat you like that. And to get scolded by a peer who is known to be the mean girl, this was not I was the more motherly energy in the group. He was the mean girl, but he was like, no. He said, I will whoop your ass if I find out you are letting people treat you like that. And it was the first time, I'm like, yeah, my mother had said things to me in my childhood about, you got to stand up to bullies. That it sounds cute, but that's not easy, particularly when you have a freeze trauma response.
Right.
Right. But it was something about, the fact that he said it to me the way he did. And I also watched this group of people, which was interesting because most of them were from Arkansas. They grew up together. They had been out since grade school together. They had their own language, their own way of being in the world. So this was fascinating to me. But and watching them move, it was paradigm shifting. Because that's white people stuff. Because that's what we're told growing up. Gayness, that's white people shit. That's nasty white people shit. That's what we were told. That is not who we are. That is the stuff that's forced on us. right?
Wow.
So not just accepting of being the same, a person who's attracted to men, but then to embrace it like a superpower is a whole nother, because there are a lot of people who can own an identity category, but they walk around looking like they're sorry about it. And the Black church taught us how to do that with gayness. Like we could show up as long as we look sorry. If you was in every prayer line and deliverance service, and
you can't love yourself
and serve the church in ways that was helpful, preaching, singing, ushering, whatever. So yeah, when radical self-love is not. There are easier things in this world to do.
Well,
that is the
well, truth. And I want to go. Before we went on air, we started talking about Bad Bunny, but I think to kind of sort of connected to what you're saying, Dante. I think when Bad Bunny was announced and the right wing went apoplectic and he wears a dress, he speaks only in Spanish, and then the ones who didn't think he was American, didn't know Puerto Rico was a territory. But what's interesting about Bad Bunny's reaction the whole time was like, learn Spanish. Okay, you know what? You don't need to learn Spanish. Learn to dance. Whatever. But when the show happened, and for those of you who have not watched it, go on YouTube, watch the show, the halftime show. He unapologetically told the story of Puerto Rico, right? He unapologetically leaned to, I didn't know that why he chose 64 on his football jersey. It's because that was the number that the Trump administration put out about how many people died after Hurricane Maria, and it was in the thousands, right? So that was the bullshit number. That's what I read.
I read that it was the year that his uncle was born.
Okay. Yeah. There's also a lot of but
there might have been many reasons why he picked
it. Could have been an entendre. Who knows?
Who knows? But he had the point was he had a meaning behind everything. He had a meaning behind the sugar canes, but he told the story and he leaned in. He didn't create a halftime show in reaction to the haters, in reaction to the people who want to maintain oppressive systems of patriarchy and white supremacy. He centered himself, his people, who he is, how he is. He had his friends there. He had a real wedding there. And so I think that was also
amazing.
A model. It was amazing. A modeling of self-love that extends to self-love and centering who he is and where he came from. And when he listed the names of all the countries, when I first moved to Cartagena, Colombia, and I would say I was American, every single Colombian would say, "You are from the United States. We're all American." And so clearly I stopped saying I'm American. Then I'm like, I'm from, Estadio Unidos. Like I'm from the United States. So when he did that, I'm like, I knew what that was. The rest of the world, when they say America, they're not just talking about one country. They are talking about the continents that are known as North, South, and Central America. And they refer to us as the United States. So there's a story, and we learn about ourselves. I'm hoping for those who are open to it, he embraced radical self-love that was yes, him and who he is and where he came from and how he shows up.
Well, and
Beautiful.
part of the connection to generosity is that he invited the world into the radical love of his people, his history, his culture, his island, right? He invited us all into that radical self-love. And we have the choice of accepting that invitation and feeling the joy and feeling the uplift and feeling and understanding the complicated history and the ways in which the United States has fucked over Puerto Rico, which was all in there too. Or we could reject the invitation and, what did you say? Stay frozen?
Stay stuck.
Stay ignorant.
Stay stuck. Yeah, stuck. Yep.
And I saw one wackadoodle right-wing commentator go posting something about like, oh, he danced on top of the power poles, like, and didn't say anything about Puerto Rico's electric grid. I'm like, that's exactly what he was fucking doing, dancing on top of the power poles.
You complained that he didn't speak English. He gave you language right there to see.
Yeah.
He gave you the visual and physical language to invite you into what he was talking about, and you, like you rejected the invitation. No.
But can we point to the irony that why are you motherfuckers so upset about Kendrick Lamar or Bad Bunny's fucking halftime performance, but motherfuckers being snatched and kidnapped off the streets and killed?
Well, let's talk Janet Jackson.
That's normal.
Like, because those people,
because it's a distraction. It's a shiny distraction.
Well, but those people are attached to a story that they do not want to be disabused of.
Right.
And admitting that people are killed on the street for being black and brown interrupts their story. And admitting that the US is a colonial power interrupts their story. Like, admitting that white supremacy culture exists interrupts their story. And they're so in love with their story that they don't want it interrupted.
It's become their identity.
Newsflash to all my white people. You are not the majority of the planet.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
You are not the majority. You have always been the minority on this planet.
Oh my God. Right?
I think it's even, I think it's worse than in addition to they don't want to be disabused of the story, they are in support of black and brown people being kidnapped and murdered and taken. They are in support of the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy because they were traitors to the cause, right? So I think there's even a more insidious, and this is the part where I have to remind myself, humans are capable of great evil. I still don't dehumanize people who are choosing to lean into the evil of what is happening. But I do think there is a segment of this population that the consequence of being conditioned into white supremacy and patriarchy and the hierarchy of humanity, that is the story, is that in order to maintain that hierarchy, this brutal surveillance state that is being run by some pretty inept people that are causing some serious damage, they like it because they so want to hold on to that story. So to me, that's the insidious part. It's like, wow, they are cheering this on. And I want to, so.
Well, I think it's even more insidious, Aisha, because because we all know they all right with us being dead, killed, shot, stabbed, maimed, whatever. That's been going on for hundreds of years. But this is what I learned from that shooting in Connecticut. You okay with your own kids being killed? You're willing to sacrifice your own children.
Woo! Say that.
All these shootings in schools. You are willing to sacrifice your own children on the altar of whiteness.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Leilani writes, those folks are centering their comfort in their narrative and will kill folks for hinting at something that gives them cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Daniela Mastanek Young, who's the Niven cult lady,
who will be on the
Children of God, who will be on The View next month. She wrote in one of her books, I think it was the first one, Uncultured, that it is much easier to get children out of a cult than it is adults, because adults have vested.
Yeah.
And children are just like, they grow up and they're like, okay, this is safe, but it sucks a lot. But adults have the deeper they get into the cult, the harder it is for them to admit that they've been
Well,
Yeah.
that they've been lied
and
to,
let's be clear.
that they're an idiot.
Can we be clear that this is why these fuckers are attacking education? And why they're attacking diversity in education? Like why they're attacking books that portray blackness as wonderful, why they're portraying books that portray queerness as wonderful, why they're portraying any education that tells people a different story, because they understand that kids are getting the message
That's right.
that they are worthy of love, that other people are worthy of love, that people who are different from them are worthy of love, and they want the kids to be indoctrinated into their cult of whiteness.
That's right. That's right.
Because nobody wants your kid to come up to you and say, "You've got your head up your ass."
Listen, all those of us who are parents will eventually have our kids say that about something.
Listen.
Something in life.
That's a universal fact.
That's right. And at that point, we need to understand how to extricate our head and not like get defensive about it. It's like,
Well, and if you're real extra special,
I apparently missed something because I was never allowed to say anything like that to either of my parents, and they're both dead. Like
Well,
I clearly missed something growing up.
Well, maybe you got the curse because in our family there was the parents' curse or the parents' prayer, and you'd be doing, and they would look at you and say, "May you have children just like you."
my mother used to say that all the fucking time.
It's a trip. My
And
son's like
that's
something.
And
if your parent says that to you, start repenting, because I'm telling you, you don't want that. You do not want a child like you. I guarantee you don't want one.
well, my second nephew turned out just like my
It's
brother,
interesting.
which is a wonderful thing because he's
My sister has a couple of kids, one of whom it seems to be very much like she was as a little girl. And we had a conversation not long ago, and she's like, "Oh yeah, she's exactly like I was."
Uh-oh.
Oh no, we do have Mylar balloons in the.
It must. I thought it was my internet, but apparently
No.
it's a thing that just keeps happening. One of us keeps.
There we are. Okay, so what I was saying, hopefully, can you hear me?
Someone's found a birthday party full of Mylar.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we're good.
So what my sister said to me was, "Yes, my daughter is very much like me, but I am going to be the mother I never had."
Yeah.
I mean, that goes in different ways too. Like I was saying
like my kids got the same sort I had growing up, and I was squashed and squished and forced into a bunch of things that weren't right. And my kid's not going to grow up with that trauma. She'll have other more interesting traumas, but that won't be the one that I give her,
Yeah.
Well, my brother called my mother up and apologized when he realized that his youngest son had turned out exactly like him. And my mother was like, "See, I cursed you with that." Like, now you know. And he called up and he's like, "I apologize." And she's like, "For what?" And he had read off the litany of things he apologized to her for. She's like,
That's amazing.
She's like, "I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied now."
That is a thing.
I am satisfied now.
That is a thing.
I mean, part of, I think,
I did a.
time done. Are we not hearing each other? Is that what's happening?
I think there's a delay.
I think, like, for me, one of the things that I go back to is I remember, Dante, you said a while ago about when people are dehumanizing others, really they're dehumanizing themselves. And so where does the healing come from? Because I do think I believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And I want to believe all are loved, just as a baseline, right? And not everybody wants to be healed or understands that it is through healing that they can humanize themselves and others. Like, how do we get ourselves out of this mess? Like, I know there are more people. The global majority is Black and brown. The global majority does not want fascism. The global majority are not horrible goons running through the streets, killing Black and brown people, right? So the thing I've been asking myself is, there are people who are at this moment, I don't think forever, I think transformation is possible for anyone who wants it, at this moment are incapable of self-love. I do not believe ICE agents who have been running amok in major blue cities and states know how to love themselves, because one would think they wouldn't be engaging in this. So where, I don't know, like, where's the off ramp? And that is a serious question. Like, how do we, where's the invitation? I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, see, I think everyone, so my universal theology would say everyone is capable of self-love.
Yes.
But everyone may not avail themselves to it. And like most things in life, there's always a counterfeit to the real thing. Now, the reason when you say, well, they couldn't love themselves, I would tell you, I think a lot of those people do believe that they love themselves and that they are acting in good, because guess what? White supremacy and patriarchy are faiths. They function like faith traditions. They are religious traditions.
Yeah.
And you don't need facts. That's why you can't unlearn this shit. You can't just give them facts. They are devoted to this thing like a faith. And so I'm sure, just like all those good, well-meaning straight people with queer kids who pray every day that they get delivered from the demons of homosexuality and trans and, all the, like, they honestly believe that they're they're embodying their faith.
Yeah.
And so again, it's sort of like when people say, well, this isn't America. What America you been in? Which America? The U.S. America? Oh yeah, it is. It's
always been.
For a while, but we have to own that. Again, are any of us untraumatized? Absolutely not. There's no way. We're all traumatized.
Well, you can't grow up steeped in the stew of toxic white supremacy culture and escape soaking up that toxin.
Right.
For some of us, those toxins are more pointed than others, right? So we don't need to engage in the trauma Olympics, right? Some of us soak it in more because it's aimed at us, but all of us soak it in.
Yeah, it's like we're rice and we got cooked in a broth. Like, it's in there. Like, it's in there, and to me that's what makes it insidious, because people will die holding on to a faith, even when it doesn't work for them.
So Leilani writes, I think there's some learning about where off-ramps might be when looking at deep healing for domestic violence perpetrators. We're going to need to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, and I worked for the National Office of the YWCA for 6 years, and one of the things that there's huge correlation between perpetrators of partner violence and cops who abuse their power, particularly against Black and brown folks. There were a lot of connections to interpersonal violence and these other forms of violence.
DC, we understand your interwebs are clogged. We love you and we want you to be here. And if coming in and out, you Betty,
it goes out because I'm missing good stuff. I know I'm missing good stuff.
It's nothing but good
stuff. Pissing me off.
Okay, well, we understand that you need to go, and we'll see you. Some of us will see you next week, but we love you to stay. So.
But I think that
I will try and stay as long as my.
Yeah, we're going to pray for the internet to stay stable. I think there is something deeply powerful about looking at the healing of EV perpetrators, because there are those who do work toward healing, even because that involves for repairing the breach in themselves and forgiving themselves for the trauma they caused others, right? So there is, I appreciate
And owning,
that, because I hadn't thought about
owning
that.
that harm.
Owning it,
Yeah.
owning it, and then moving past or through it, not past it, but healing. I mean, that is, that. Thank you, Leilani. That is a really important framing that I hadn't thought of. That is really compelling. That there is something to that, because I'm going to choose to believe in a future not so far from now that we will transform at the very least away from, rogue groups of armed men that are just taking people, that we will at least move through something different. I don't know what that something is. There's no going back to the way, whatever the fuck it was, because that was not great at all. When we're transformed, how do we center? I'm going to go to abolition in our last 9 minutes. Create a worldview that centers generosity, because an abolitionist world is a generous world with each other. It is a caring world. It is a world that leans into abundance, that says, how do we care for each other and the earth and the beings and the fish and everything that is alive, the living Mother Earth? Because moving through this will require, there is so much fractured and broken and we are intentionally traumatizing children. In addition to the trauma that's been happening to children with these school shootings that we do not stop.
Well, and part of the abolitionist world. Oh, go on, DC.
I was just wondering if we've talked at all about. I saw a few things come across my feed lately that said the horror that we're reading about in the Epstein files happened for hundreds of years on plantations.
Sure did. Sure did.
And again, it's one of those, like, it's telling that now people are mad because it's happening to white kids. And it's more horrifying that there are folks like Pam Bondi who are defending it.
And and how many indigenous girls and women have gone missing,
are still missing,
and are still missing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole movement around that.
Yeah. And the to circle back to the abolition connection, and I don't know, some of you know, I worked for perhaps the largest international union that we have, and one of the things that we found out during our research, because it's one thing to convince the people who are explicitly in cages that the system is against them. That's usually the easy side of it. But what our research showed us was prison don't work for nobody, including the guards and the wardens.
Nope.
And the cities that they're in. It is not working for anybody.
Nope.
You work in what, minimum wage jobs, policing people,
and
cages?
Indoctrinated into a system that tells you that your job is to exert unchecked power over people who are not human.
I am sure that does not translate at all into their home lives with their spouses or children at all. No, nothing
where
like
you get paid so little that you run the risk of smuggling contraband into the prison where you are guard. Because if you was making a decent living, who would risk that?
Yeah, it is not working for anyone. I wanted to bring up the part of the abolitionist worldview. Mariam Kaba writes so beautifully about this, that people are not just worthy of enough love to survive, right? People are worthy of beauty.
Yes.
and art and like a clean environment and like thriving.
Plumbing.
Right,
And
pipes
you
with
know,
no, you know,
I just also say, and we also should have the right to fail without dying for it, or make a mistake
Ooh,
and not
ooh,
have to die for it.
say
Mm.
that. Say that.
Some of us die for our mistakes, and some of us don't.
Ooh.
Some of us die for other people's mistakes.
Mm.
ooh,
I'm sorry, Reverend Michael.
no, the mic has been dropped. The mic, like truth
Like,
bomb.
can I just fucking make a mistake?
Right?
Like, no, you can't, Dante. Like,
No,
let's be clear about that, right?
very clear. You can't make a mistake, and you can't be too perfect. Because if you're too perfect, you're an uppity one. And now we got to humble you.
Oof.
All right. Well, what are we talking about next week, friends? We came up with this topic at the end of the View last week. And so, like, I like this. Like, let's keep the conversation going. View viewers who are out there, folks who are live. Oh, DC.
I think talking about what accountability looks like would be a good discussion next week, because that's where people go to. They think jail is accountability. It is not. But what does accountability look like? Like the amount of names in those fucking files that I refuse to read, I'm just reading synopsis from people, is astonishing, including the fucking Princess of Norway. The fuck? Like, I'm like, what is happening? But I think accountability, even within our interpersonal, I think would be a great topic.
You know, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch the different ways in which the U.S. and Europe are responding to names coming out in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's the man who was the British ambassador to the United States was named in the Epstein files.
God.
Not only was he recalled, but they're about to depose the prime minister for not doing it fast enough.
Yeah.
In the United Kingdom. Right? Like there will be multiple layers of accountability for this man showing up in the Epstein files. You know, Prince Andrew has been stripped of his royal titles, and
they knew.
And William is trying to go farther than that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, did they know? Yes, but now everybody knows, and
now everybody knows.
They can't afford for everybody to know, and there not be accountability. Some accountability, some level of it, you know, people are being protected in the United States.
Well,
people
yeah,
are being redacted in the United States.
Wild. It's wild. I also feel the need to say Michael is correct. I don't know why I'm spouting information. I don't. The 64 was for his uncle, Bad Bunny. I always want to correct myself when I'm wrong.
It's his uncle who taught him to love Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Who was born in 1964 and who died.
Yeah.
Last year.
He honored
that's
him.
Why, and it's his mother's brother, so that's why the jersey said Ocasio, because that's his maternal last name.
Presente. Man.
So it was his way of calling in the ancestors into this joy, which I just found another layer of beauty and generosity.
I have been to Puerto Rico 3 times. I'm ashamed. I have never left the actual United States. I do not have a passport. I have never traveled outside of this country. But I have been to Hawaii and I've been to Puerto Rico. And I have to say, I fell in love with Puerto Rico from the very first time I went, because we went to a place called Louisa. And if you've never been to Louisa, it is the blackest place on earth. It is. And then we took our students, and from when I was in Indiana, one of my students says, "It's like Gary with palm trees." I said, "Yes." I said, absolutely. It feels, yes, there was people low riding with a diamond in the back, sunroof top. It was black. They look like your cousins. They just spoke Spanish. I said, this is why you don't understand. We are everywhere. Your people are everywhere. We just sometimes speak a different tongue. That's it.
Love it.
Oh, I love it.
I love you all. This
Don't
is
go to
so
Puerto Rico unless you go to Luisa.
Well,
Luisa.
that is not where I was the one time I've been in Puerto Rico, but I also was in love. And I tried my best to learn Puerto Rican Spanish, and
Oh no, it's too quick. It's too quick.
That's costeño. That was the same with me in Colombia.
I just appreciated it rather than understanding. So I will be out next week on vacation, so enjoy that conversation.
We'll be here.
Beloveds.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Special thanks to everyone who gives generously to this ministry. It is because of you that this ministry is possible.
Visit clfuu.org/give to make a contribution.
We hope you will join us next week for another episode of the Voices of Unitarian Universalism.